what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. We are back here once again for another virtual unveil of a vehicle that is getting some big changes from Ford for model year 2025. What is it? It's all about the baby Bronco, better known as the Bronco Sport. So let's go ahead, let's dive in, see what is new, and see what has been added, and find out, is this the best compact crossover with those off-road credentials? Let's dive in and find out. And there it is, actually in action. And of course, it's slow action here because it's all about off-roading. Now, a lot of people were hemming and hollering when they introduced the Bronco Sport just a few years ago, saying this isn't a real Bronco. And remember, this was introduced first, and then the bigger Bronco came into market. And I think it was smart for Ford to do this because not everybody is a body on frame Bronco person or Bronco fan. There's a lot of people that want to go off the beaten path, but they still want a lot of the comforts that come from a crossover SUV. Now, what Ford wanted to do for model year 2025 is kind of up the ante, not only bring normal mid-cycle changes like refresh style, technology, but there's also some extra credentials that the Bronco Sport is getting with the Sasquatch package. So if you know anything about Sasquatch, we still haven't found him yet. There's those pictures that float around, video footage that floats around of Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch. But when it comes to Sasquatch on a Bronco, a full-size Bronco, those credentials brought the special suspension, the special tires, the extra ground clearance, the skid plates, the recovery tow hooks. Well, guess what? Now those things are going to fall into alignment for the Bronco Sport. But let's just talk about the basics here. So as you're seeing this Bronco Sport doing the business, you do have new technology standard across all the trims, whether you go Badlands, whether you're going with a base, is a 13.2-inch infotainment system. It's a horizontal display, nice large system, and I think it's smart that it just comes the way it is on all the different trims. The next thing is going to be the 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster, and that has actually been designed taking cues from the biggest, baddest brother of them all, the Bronco Raptor. Now, looking at the front end of the business of the Bronco Sport, you'll see a more muscular appearance. So we have the addition of some silver trim. They redesigned the front fascia to actually give you more ground clearance. And of course, at the back end, better departure angles. That's for the off-roading credentials. What you'll also see are 4 recovery tow hooks. That's one of those things that when you see an off-road vehicle, a vehicle that a manufacturer is saying, this is our off-road spec, those are one of the things you want to look for. Are there any recovery tow hooks? Because a lot of times if you're going to do off-roading, there's a chance that you might get stuck or you might need to help somebody who has been stuck get out of the mud, out of the dirt, wherever they're kind of pinned. That's what those recovery tow hooks help with. Now at the front end, you'll see the addition of that brush bar. Really liking that style. And it's interesting how there was all this brouhaha about when the Bronco first edition came out with that brush bar and it blocked the Bronco name. I guess people are kind of getting over it with this Bronco Sport because it does block the name a little bit, but you know it's a Bronco. Seeing it come down the road, look at these really innovative tie-down locations. So there's these actual kind of little fingers that extend out from the front fenders, and that's going to allow you to take those tie-downs and hook your straps and other come-along systems and everything else to hold whatever you're trying to mount on top in place. This is some of the stuff that Ford talked to their users, their owners of the Bronco Sport, and this is something that, listening to them, they wanted to bring this innovative touch. And I think it's so smart to have these little metal handles that come out that allow you to swivel that out and then use it as a tie-down location. Now on the interior, like I was telling you, you're gonna see better use of higher end materials, some nice stitching, some different two-tones. I'm really digging this blue, this sort of like deep navy blue interior with the stitching. You're still gonna get your full all-weather floor mat protection, because what they have found is that it's 3 times more likely that a Bronco Sport owner will take their Bronco off-roading compared to the competition. And what is some of the competition? Vehicles like the Subaru Crosstrek and Crosstrek Wilderness. You're also looking at the Toyota RAV4 TRD Off-Road, just to name a couple. And there's one coming from Nissan, which is going to be that new Rogue Rock Creek Edition. Now, looking at that 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster, you see all the different modes, the graphics. Now, what you're looking at here with this particular Bronco Sport is the addition of the Sasquatch package. And this is where you're going to see really those off-road credentials be maximized. So what are the things you're getting? You're automatically going to be getting a locking rear diff. That is one of those things you want to look for when you're looking at an off-road, something that has off-road specs. That's something you want. It also has a twin clutch rear-wheel drive unit. So it's all-wheel drive, but the rear-wheel drive unit is a twin clutch system, different from anything you've seen before on a Bronco Sport. It's got 29-inch tires, obviously off-road spec tires with the sidewall protection and the beefier tread blocks. And you can see the type of rock crawling that you could do, and what you're getting is a rock crawl mode. So there's the addition of rally mode and rock crawl mode, plus what they're taking from the bigger Broncos is what's called Trail 1 pedal drive. So where you're able to do your rock crawling all by giving more pressure to the throttle or releasing the throttle. You don't have to worry about the brakes. That's that technology from the bigger Broncos. And you can see the amount of not only ground clearance, but also wheel travel. So up front, wheel travel is going to be 8.3 inches. Out back, it's 8.7 inches. And you're getting Bilstein shock absorbers all 4 corners. So just like the bigger brother, when you go Sasquatch, these are some of those extra touches that you're getting. And then of course, the real deal is what's underneath, the skid plates. So you're getting full skid plates to protect the underside of the vehicle. And I just love how with what you're seeing in this part of the video, how they resculpted that front fascia. You could see the extra ground clearance you're getting in that better approach angle. There we are out back with those 2 massive tow recovery hooks, and then those 29-inch tires. And what's really cool is you'll see a little bit as this goes by, there's a cool Sasquatch badge on the side there. And like I said, looking in this woods, I've been trying to find if we could see Sasquatch, but unfortunately, I think he only comes out at night when nobody's around. And usually, from what they say, is if you want your best luck of seeing Sasquatch, is to lay some Twinkies, some open Twinkies down in the woods where you're located, and there's a greater chance that he may show up. But of course, you're going to get full LED headlights up front, projector beam headlights, LED daytime running lamps. You still have the flat black around the fender openings, and I like the way they made it a little bit beefier for model year 2025. That little silver is where you pull that out, and that's that accessory tie-down location. But it's crazy the amount of wheel travel and the action that you're seeing in this video. Well, what about power? Everything is pretty much going to remain the same except for the touches that I talked about. So what do we have? You have your 2 engines, a 1.5 liter EcoBoost, that's a 1.5 liter turbocharged inline 3 that puts out 180 horsepower, 200 pound-feet of torque. But the great news is, unlike the Subaru Crosstrek, it's bolted to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Whereas remember, the Crosstrek, the Rogue Rock Creek Edition, those have CVTs. So something to think about. Now, you can obviously go for the bigger engine, which is the 2-liter inline 4 turbocharged engine, that 2-liter EcoBoost. That pumps out 238 horsepower and 277 pound-feet of torque, and it's also bolted to an 8-speed automatic. Towing has been increased. On the small displacement engine, it's right around 2,200 pounds. On the 2-liter, the bigger displacement engine, there's that Sasquatch image on the side. Just nice little touch. And it'd be kind of fun for when people notice it, because it's not like in your face, but then from certain angles you see how it says Sasquatch, and there is Sasquatch there. But 2,700 pounds towing capability for the 2-liter EcoBoost. And like I was saying, what they really tried to do was just kind of bring the credentials of the off-roadness, if you even want to call that a word, the off-road spec of the Bronco Sport. Because even though you may not like the Bronco Sport, and you may say that, well, that doesn't deserve the Bronco name, there's a lot of owners that have been loving their Broncos, and especially with them being Bronco Sport. And to be honest with you, the reason why I never really got that frustrated and like was all about this is ridiculous, it needs to be zonked, it's because, remember, there was the Ford Bronco 2, which was a small size Bronco. So it isn't like they just pulled this out of, Henry Ford's rear end or Edsel Ford's rear end and said, hey, we're gonna make a small Bronco and call it the Bronco Sport. Small Bronco is nothing new. It's just now what they're trying to do is because they're finding that their owners are going off-road with them, they want to give them more off-road credentials. And to do a kind of quick recap, go in that Sasquatch package or go in the Badlands trim, you're going to get the skid plates. You're getting the recovery tow hooks. You're getting the brush bar. You're getting more places to put attachments for things. Because that's the other thing, is that when it comes to the accessories, there are a ton of Ford accessories for the Bronco Sport. Not just the Bronco, but also the Bronco Sport. I don't know if you've also noticed on the interior, and I'll point this out as we get back into the interior, there's other things for accessories. And we'll talk about that in a second. But definitely, if you're going to buy one of these, ask your particular Ford dealership to look at the catalog, to be given the link to the catalog, because there are so many different accessories, and it could all be bundled in with the purchase of the vehicle. Maybe you might work out some kind of deal like, hey, if I buy it for X, can I get Y when it comes to the amount of accessories? But I love the bold new look, the new wheels, those off-road tires, the brush bar, the silver trim. It just makes it look more like what you think a Bronco, something that has a Bronco name to it. You still have your two-tone. They're going to have new colors, of course. But I'm really digging it. Now, when it comes to pricing, no official pricing yet. That'll be a big question mark. Obviously, they got to keep it competitive because of the other options that are out there. You have your Hyundai Tucson XRT. You have the Kia Sportage X Pro. These are all competitors to this particular vehicle. But the two-tone, the raised roof rails, that's going to help with bolting things down. And then really the way that they now have the badging in pure white really pops off nicely off the front grille and off the rear. You're still getting your LED fog lamps, which I know is always nice when you're out going off-roading in the dark. There's that brush bar. And like I said, kind of funny how it's blocking the name, but I'm digging the new wheels. They look spectacular. The tires play the part. There's that accessory hook that extends out from the fender. Smart placement, because guess what? That used to be a zonk. That used to be where the fake vent was on the side. And you can see how it's got that nice connection to put a bungee cord, any kind of tie down onto that piece. But it's in the interior where I think they really did a great job. And especially when it comes to comfort. Very good comfort on the seats. You have optional 360-degree trail view. So that's something new and important when you're going off-roading, to be able to see fully around you. You have that nice panoramic view. You can look at the tires and the wheels as you're going over certain rocks. The interior, the material of it is very easy to clean. And I can appreciate that, because if you're going out camping, if you're going out off-roading, or whatever the hell you're doing out in the woods, you're bound to get dirty, and you're going to get inside, and then you don't have to feel as bad because it's going to be easy to keep clean. You got your goat modes. Like I said, 2 new additions, go over any terrain. 2 new additions, rally and of course rock crawl, and then having the 13.2-inch infotainment system. Look at this nice little cubby. Bring your own accessory, and it's got 2 USB-Cs right on the dash. And that's the other thing I want to show you, the auxiliary switches. So you have 4 auxiliary switches. You could wire up very easily lights, an air horn, a winch, whatever you want to attach to the front or the back of your Bronco Sport. It's easier to wire it up, and then you have the switch right there, so you don't have to make like a doohickey or a whatchamacallit or a widget to make that accessory work. But let me know what you think. You've seen it a little bit in action. I can't wait to bring you the on throttle, and we can put it to the test and see just how capable this new Bronco Sport is, especially with the Sasquatch package. Get a little tongue-tied there. But anyways, let me know in the comment section what your thoughts. Do you think this is the best new compact crossover SUV that has that off-road capability? Or would you rather go get one of the competitors? Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raised Rides family. Gotta give it up to LGR. You know who she is. She's the most important person in my life, and definitely none of this would be possible if it wasn't for her. So thank you, Lori, for your hard work. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.